Welcome back to another video. Now, this tutorial session or recording is going to be basically for persons who love Docker as much as I do. Docker is a great tool. It has helped me out a lot when I've been in certain situations or projects just won't work the way that I want it to work, or they just won't combine the right way. So this virtualization tool is just simply amazing. You can go on their website and check it out. I may just leave a link in the description. And yeah, so the next thing is that I love Vue just the same, and everyone who has used Vue loves it as well, obviously. And the PWA feature is something that Vue works with well, so that is something that I really like as well. And it helps me to develop apps quicker, and it helps other persons as well. So you don't really have to worry about creating like a native application for this specific device or operating system or whatever. That's what I like about it. So in this video, as you may see from the title, what I'm going to do is just create a PWA application that works with Docker. And one of the reasons why I'm doing that is because on your local machine, you know that the PWA won't work. But what I've realized is that it works in the Docker container when you run it in there. So that's what we're going to do in this video. So let's get started. So I'll be using my favorite text editor. Well, my favorite simple text editor, which is Atom. I do have different editors, but this is my favorite simple one. I'm just gonna use the git cdn. So I'm gonna cd into my projects folder, and I have a Vue projects folder here as well. Alright, so we're just gonna go ahead and do a Vue create, and we're just gonna call it Vue PWA Docker. So I've got in the settings here, and my yarn needs to be updated. I think it may have defaulted to yarn. I may have to see about that. So we're not going to use the default settings. I'm going to go manual because I'm not going to use some of the stuff. So we can choose Vue version. For now, I won't be using TypeScript, but I want the PWA support. I don't want router. I don't want Vuex. I don't want any of these because I will not be using them. Just the Babel and the Postgres, the PWA support. So we're gonna use Vue 2 for this one, and we're going to have dedicated files for each of these, and we're not gonna save this preset. And I'm gonna use npm for this one and not yarn. I prefer yarn, but we're gonna use npm for this one because it will work with better with the Docker thing that I will be using, because I'm getting it from the Vue docs actually. Alright, so we're all set, so I'm just gonna go ahead. Alright, so unfortunately for me, I actually accidentally paused the recording and missed out a whole lot. Actually reached the containerizing part and had to start over. Let's go ahead and start over. Not everything exactly, so we're just gonna go ahead and actually start the server. So we're gonna say npm npm run server. I haven't used this thing in a while. And we're just gonna allow that to run in the background. So I'm just gonna go ahead now and grab the folder. You can see I already opened it, so let me just grab that, but I just deleted the stuff that were not supposed to be there. Alright, so first of all, you can see it's just a baseline app, and a lot of stuff are not here, so like the store, the router, and stuff like that, because we did not install any of these. One thing I want you to pay attention to is the service, register service worker. This is what gives the PWA those wonderful abilities. But as we know, this only works in production. So I'm gonna show you how. Again, this is why we're gonna be using the Docker, so we can have it to work on our local instance. So the first thing that we want to do now, let me just close this. And I should mention that there are actually two ways that I know of at this point that you can use to create a PWA. So in Vue at least, you can create a Manifest.json file and then link it in the index.html file. And the second option is that you can create a Vue.config file in here in the source, and not this source, the main directory, and add a PWA object in there that has some attributes that will pick up the PWA. So what will happen, however, if you create the manifest.json file and then create Vue.config and add the PWA configuration in there, it will take the precedence, and that one will be the highest, be regarded as the highest. So it will disregard the manifest.json file to some extent, but I think you can actually import it, the manifest, but we'll see how that goes. That's what we're gonna do now. So I'm just gonna add we're gonna work with the manifest.json file first, and we can probably look at the PWA object. So it's manifest.json, and in here again, it's a JSON file, and you can find some of these files on the internet. So I may just leave a link to a dev2 or a web dev article that I found with one of these, so you can have access to it. But we're just gonna go ahead and add a short name, and I'm just gonna call this the same name that we have here, and we're gonna give it a name as well, which I'm just gonna go for the same thing, but we're just gonna give it some further information. So we're just gonna say this is our PWA or Vue PWA Docker app. We can leave that there. The next thing, there are a lot of information you can add in, but I'm just gonna put some baseline ones here. So the next thing is some icons, and these icons you can find them right in here. So we're just gonna go ahead and do such. So the first thing for these icons that we need is actually the source. So we're gonna grab the source, which is going to be /image/icons/ and the name. We're gonna use the two first ones, which is Android, Chrome, and the size here. We're gonna use that, and it's a PNG. The next thing that we need is the type, which is going to be of image/PNG, and the next thing that we need here is the sizes, which, as you can see up there, is this size that's there, and it should actually be in quotes. We don't need that. I'm just gonna go ahead and copy this so that I don't have to type it again, because I'm gonna use the second one as well. And we're just gonna change this to that figure, because that's what we're using. Same thing here, same PNG. Next thing that we're gonna add is our start URL, which is really important. And with this, I'm gonna put a slash. I found you can actually use a dot, or you can add some like /index.html, but I found that this helps does it best for me, because I realized when I put the dot I got an issue. and also the index.html, like it was going to the page that I wanted it to go to exactly. So I'm just going to do the slash for now. We're going to go for background color as well, and I think this should be the Vue color. So this is the color that Vue uses, and I'm going to do this again. Copy that, and we're going to put the display to be standalone. Should be like a standard or something. So we're going to allow that, and we're going to put a scope as well, which is going to be slash. Final thing is the theme, and some of these stuff we don't necessarily need them. You can omit them. So that's pretty much that. You can add a whole lot more information in here, but this is the baseline that we'll need. So that should pretty much be that. Before I save that, I am going to go into the index.html file and actually add this link. So this is going to be a manifest.json or manifest URL, and this is going to be in slash manifest.json. That's what we're going to do. And at this point, we should have a PWA application on our system. So let's save all, and this should refresh. And I'm gonna go to my browser here and just go to localhost 8080. 8080. And there we go. It's just our bare bones Vue application. Here I can do a Control-Shift-I, and we should get the console. But again, you won't see any messages, which we should see because this is what it says. We're gonna console, well, not here in the service worker. As I showed before, it's gonna register these stuff, but because we have to be in production, then that is why we're not seeing them. So what I can do is just comment this out, and then you'll see that this thing is actually working. So let me just go for that. It's gonna refresh. All right, so now it should pop up and show that, well, application is being served by cache and service record registered. But doing that is not efficient. You're messing with this thing, which we should not be doing for obvious reasons. So that is why we're going to be using the Docker to work with this. And we're not gonna do the second PWA option way of doing this thing, not just yet. So we're gonna go ahead and actually Dockerize this first of all. And again, Dockerizing information you can find that on the vue.js.org website, and all of the information is there. So it's like plain out for you to understand everything that you need to know. So the first thing that we're going to do is to actually create a Docker file before we can actually do anything. So just stop the server so that we can use it after. So we're not going to need it right now. So I'm going to create a Docker file, and this file does not have an extension. So it's just Docker file. That's pretty much it. So in here, we're going to need node. Obviously, we're going to need that in our container. So we're going to get the long-term support Alpine. So we're just going to grab that. We're going to do a run, and we're going to install this dependency for the server side, or the serving the static content. So we'll go ahead and install this HTTP server. So that's what we're going to be installing there, and we can install it globally. The next thing is going to specify our work directory, and then we're going to copy both both our package files. So we're gonna copy the package.lock and the package.json. This is why we're using the star here, because we want both of them. And this should be a dot. There we go. So that's what I'm missing something here. Dot. Yeah, this is what we want. I want in this in a specific directory actually this here. So then we're gonna do a npm install for obvious reasons, because we want the dependencies. Then we're gonna copy over these stuff or files. Next thing is that we're going to run our build command, because we know obviously production, so and we use the build in production. So yep, that's why we want that. Then because Docker does not export ports, we're gonna have to export a specific port. If we're on a live server, then we would use the 80. That's obvious HTTP. Next thing that we're gonna do is just run a command to run the server, the HTTP server. So we're gonna say HTTP server. This is what we're going to be running. And obviously we're going to be running this from this folder that will be created after we run the npm run build, and that should pretty much be it. So we can just go ahead and save that now, and in here in our CDN we can now go ahead and write the commands to actually get this thing working. So we're gonna do a docker build, and we're gonna do the t flag, and I'm gonna give this a name. The name is going to be obvious, so it's gonna be docker build that, and then where the file is at, so that's a dot. Let's just click on enter. Let's have this create the thing. Alright, so we got an error here, and one thing that I'm gonna highly recommend is that you read what these errors say, because you may do some stupid stuff and waste a lot of time if you don't actually just read it, because sometimes it just spells out everything. You can see right here it just spells out that we have an unexpected token. So that means I messed something up at the position 363, and I was going around thinking that it was node and some other stuff, but I guess that is not the case, because let me see something again. Manifest.json, the unexpected token here, but I'm not really seeing it. There's no 363 position. Let me see something. We have these. One second. Alright, so I see the error, and it's quite stupid because it's something that I would have done before. Wow, you can see this is a J when it should actually be an F. We have, it should be manifest, which is quite pathetic. Remember doing this before. That is that. So we're gonna see this, and I actually thought it was a node or an npm issue or a Vue issue. I'll actually reinstall everything. So let's just clear this and just run the command again. Alright, so we're all finished now, which is good. The next thing to do is to actually run this, and Vue has a way of running it, but there are different ways I believe that you can do. So the way that Vue the way that Vue has to run this is you docker build, and I believe it's IT, the port, and then we're gonna map 8080 to 8080. They do an RM and a name, and then I think you just use the name. But there is another way which I find much easier, but we can look at that at a different point, I guess. What I'll just normally do is just docker. Well, this should not be build, it should be run. Well, it should be run actually. It should be run. So what I normally do is I would normally have a dispatch port, and then I'll just pretty much remove all of this and just have the name there. But I'm just gonna go ahead and go with what Vue has in a doc. So I believe, so this is what they have in the doc, so I'm just gonna run with what they have, and that's it. So we can just click on enter, and this should start serving it from the Docker container, and then we can run it. Before that serves, let me refresh. You can see that this should not work. It should not be working, and I don't think I had any container there as well. That's not working. So let's wait until it's finishes. Alright, so see, I don't know, this is not working for me. So I'm gonna go for docker run, and then I'm gonna do this, and 8080. So we're just mapping the port inside the container to the one on the outside, or the one that we want to use, and enter. Alright, so there we go. So you can see that it is now running. I want it to finish completely so we can actually check the Docker containers that are running. Alright, so I can just do a docker ps and just see what we have in here. And you can see that we have the Vue PWA Docker image actually running on port 8080. So you can see this is not, and that's localhost for us. It was created a couple seconds ago, and we should now be able to refresh this, and it should now be working. Alright, so there we go. Our wonderful Vue.js application that is running in Docker. And you can see that it's saying app is being served for cache by service workers. You know that the service worker is actually working now. The service worker has been registered, and we should also see the installation prompt, which I'm not seeing just yet. So I don't know why I'm not seeing that, but let's see. What I'm gonna do is just open another browser. I'm gonna open another Chrome based browser and just open this in there, or we can check if it actually works in that one. Alright, so let's go ahead and just paste this and go, and let's see what happens. Alright, there we go. So you can now see the installation button here because it is serving from within the Docker container, and the Docker container is in a more production based setup. So it is pretty awesome. So at this point you understand that you don't necessarily have to have something like a Netlify hosting or whatever. You can just run it from a Docker container and it will actually work pretty fine. Now there's one other thing that I want to do, and that is to ensure that you all get access to this if you need it. So I'm over here at my GitHub repository. So I'm just gonna go ahead and create a new repo, and I'm just gonna upload a code for it. So I'm gonna assume that there's a possibility that someone already has a Vue PWA Docker. Nope. Well, it's in my repository, so it's gonna be different. So that's good. And it's gonna be public. I'm gonna attach a README to it, so just build one by default because we don't have any in the project that I remember of. Actually, it does. I believe it does. So that should be that. So we're just gonna create the repository. And we're just doing it from here to make it easier, at least. So what I'm gonna do now is I am going to just write out these commands because it's probably gonna be easier to some extent. So we're just gonna do a git init, and we're gonna do a git add all, and then we're gonna commit this init commit, and then from here, what I normally do is just copy everything here, and I'll just paste it. We run the first command, the second command, and then we have to run the last one. So let me refresh this, and you should be able to access this information. I'll leave a copy, a link in the chat. Well, in the description of the video, I'll just leave a copy, a link in there. All right, so that's that. Now I think I may do a part 2 to this video that will show how to actually get this within using the Vue.config. So look forward to that video. So this is pretty much it for this video here. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.